How come we're not casting?
What is the benefit to buy a house or sell your house this time of the year versus summer?
The houses that benefit the most are the houses that are not a 10. Because they don't have as much competition. But also overall, any house, you won't have as much competition. We don't usually have as much inventory during the holidays. So a buyer's choices are fewer, so you're not going to be competing against a lot of other houses. So it can be a very advantageous time. Also, usually the people who are out shopping during the holidays are serious.
Yeah, they need to move.
They have to move because most people don't want to move during the holidays.
Yeah.
Like their
And
kids
the
have to go
disruptive-
to school in the middle of January.
Or they have to move, or someone's
So
passed
they-
away, or they're getting a divorce and they have to settle the property.
So a new house comes on the market, I haven't seen that.
So it's more beneficial when someone sells.
I think it can be equally as beneficial selling in the winter versus waiting until spring.
Well, if you wait till
There's not
spring,
advantageous.
if you wait till spring, if you're a house that you're not a 10, the condition is not great. You're a little rough around the edges or you're a little dated, then you may fare better in the off months.
Yeah.
Because most people are most houses are coming on in spring and summer.
And they're really nice condition.
And they're taking the time now to get them ready.
So like if someone wants to take advantage of best, the highest price, then this time is the best.
Not necessarily the best. It's just that there's less competition. So it could, but then you also have fewer buyers. So the multiple offers may not be as crazy as it could be in spring and summer. But we don't know. See, here's the thing. All we can really do is say, historically, spring and summer is when by June, it used to be, before COVID, it used to be that by June, we would have the most houses on the market. That's when the flood was, okay, in June. So that's great for a buyer, and it could be good for a seller if they have a competitive house, if they're priced well and they look good.
It is actually very, very.
It just depends on their motivation. Like I said, you have a smaller group of buyers during the holidays, but they're serious. So it really depends. You need to really find out what's their motivation. If it's not time sensitive, then maybe waiting, but I would, yeah. There's pluses and minuses, no matter what time of year you put. And then it depends on the market at that time. We can't predict what the market's going to look like in spring and summer. All we can say is what it looks like right now. Okay, getting people on Zoom. That didn't give you your real answer. Okay, everybody coming on board. I'm gonna cast.
Buyers put an offer in on a house yesterday. At asking price 165, and they had like 4 other offers. They got outbid. And it's just a little house out in, this one's in KCK.
At 465?
No, I'm sorry, 165.
Oh, gosh, you had me like, I'm like, wow.
That's the second outbid. And it's
Okay.
November. So you don't know what.
But it's the first part of, it's really Thanksgiving that it changes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that week of Thanksgiving, it changes. And they have too much going on. They don't want to do that. They don't, okay. Hold on, guys, I'm trying.
Figured it out.
We've got, good morning, everyone on Zoom. We had a little excitement here at the office because I don't want to share because it's not showing me what I want it to show. So come on, let me out, let me out. Sorry, I'm trying to get Zoom to behave and trying to get our PowerPoint up for today. So did everybody read the materials for today's class? Read your student guide, because that's what I had asked you all to make certain that you did. We will share screen here. I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm going to have to leave here at 10:30. I'm going to be attending a funeral, but Megan will step in and you guys will continue. So I just want to let you, if you see a shift in the two of us, that's what's going on. And all right, so online, let's see who we've got here. Got Jamian, we've got Olivia, Jaden, Connor. I've got both of my Olivias on. Jody, Claire. Looks like everybody's on. If you can have your cameras on, guys, I say it every time. Come camera ready or be okay looking how you look on camera. Unless you're at work or you're in the car or you've got screaming kids around you, I want you on camera. So please, let's make an effort to do that. That would be lovely. All right, we've got share screen. I'm going to put this up over here. I'm going to do the present. We've got Edgar and Megan here in person. I know Jeffrey's on his way. Let's get the present going. Get this. So I'm getting the present view up. So after Tuesday's class, did anybody start thinking about for sale by owners and expireds differently? Good morning, Karen. Come on in. Did anybody, okay, Zoom, you cannot be quiet the whole time. You know, I will call on you. Did anyone start thinking about for sale by owners, expired or canceled differently after Tuesday's discussion?
I did, and I've been starting to
Oh,
use.
hold on, Claire. I see that you are unmuting.
Oh.
Let's see if I can get the volume up on mine. Yeah, my volume's up, but I don't know. Okay, Claire.
Better?
Yes, it's not
Okay.
you, it's my laptop, so.
Okay. Well, so I've been running prompts through Chat GBT to find good conversations I can have with expireds
Mm-hmm.
and for sale by owners. So hopefully I'll have it fine-tuned enough I can actually start doing something with that.
I love that. And also in the student guide, we have some scripts and conversations too for you all to look at. So I've got some guides printed up. If you don't have a student guide from Tuesday, there's a whole stack of them there. Okay. Anybody else? Do you thinking differently about expireds, FSBOs, and cancels? Okay. That's okay. Well, then let's keep going and pick up where we left off on Tuesday. But before we do, we're going to do our little check-in. If you all will scan the QR code and check into class, I would so appreciate it. There's also a bit.ly code there. So if you're on your phone listening or watching Zoom, you can type in the bit.ly code. That would be great. Let's get everybody signed in. Remember, I look at these, so I see you when you don't sign in. I noticed. When did you check in? Okay. Then those of you who are coming for the CE class today, the CE class is on managing home inspections. And it is a great way to knock out your CE elective hours is that we host free CE classes. We like to do them quarterly so that it helps you. We don't do the core class. That you'd have to go to KCRAR or do online. Here's something you probably don't know as a new agent. With your KCRAR dues, all of that money that you spent with them, you get free CE classes. Never pay for your CE classes. They're not super expensive, but don't pay for them because you can have them free and you will, basically you already paid for them, okay? So get them through KCRAR. They have in-person and then they do have online. And don't be like, I think some of you probably saw my email talking about the agent here in the office on Friday on Halloween saying, oh, I don't have any of my CE hours done and my license expires tomorrow. So guess what happens when your license expires? You can do no business in that state until, even if you send it off. So even if she got everything done Friday and sent it off to the state, they then have to process it. Well, first, the schools that she takes her CE hours from have to send the proof that she completed those to the state. The state has to receive those, so that's a day or two right there. And she was going into a weekend. So I don't think those schools are working on Saturday and Sunday. So the state, as soon as the state would have gotten it was Monday. Then the state has to process it. And here's the thing, she has closings coming up in that state, and we cannot pay an unlicensed person. So even if we wanted to, we can't. It's a violation. So that did kind of get her a little bit motivated to make sure she knocked it out, but we had to remind her, we can't pay you for these closings. And you can't even do any agent activities in that state because the agent will get fined. The brokerage will get fined for your activities without a license. And depending on what you do, you could get your license suspended or revoked if you go too far. So take it seriously, and it is up to you, not us, to know when you need to renew. Now in Missouri, we all renew at the same time, but in Kansas, you don't. So you've got to track, and then you go on to the state commission websites, look yourself up, and know, and I'd put it in my calendar. I'd put it in my electronic calendar of when I need to renew, and you need to put a reminder like 30 or 60 days. Well, not in your first year though. It may be less than 2 years, your first time.
Don't they say year in the bill?
I don't rely on that. Don't rely on it. Missouri sends you a postcard. Here's the thing with Missouri. They have a PIN number for each of you, and it's on that postcard. When they send it for renewal, you lose that postcard, and it's like, it's not easy to get a hold of them and get that PIN card and PIN number, and you can't register for your renewal without that PIN number.
So they don't send it online, they send it on postcard.
Postcard. So if you don't, if they don't have your right address, or I don't trust the postal service anymore, they're struggling at best for it to get to you or get to you on time. I sent Angel a card last year. It took 9 months to get to him. He had the right address.
That's awful. That's,
And he said, well, you sent this? I said, look, the postmark on it, the postmark. Yeah, yeah. So, okay. All right, enough on that. I've harped on you guys enough about that to let you know how important that is, okay? I think you get it. All right, let's get into, can anyone tell me the difference between a canceled listing and expired listing?
well, it's canceled.
What did they cancel?
They got, they could be various reasons that they got canceled.
But what document did they cancel? Poor Karen, she's brand new and she's.
The listing agreement.
The,
Somebody else said it online. Say it
The
again.
the listing agreement.
The listing agreement. The listing agreement was canceled prior to the expiration date in the document. So good try though. I appreciate you putting yourself out there. So it expired, the listing agreement expired. Here's something you guys need to know. Guess what happens when a listing expires? Guess what happens to the seller?
A bunch of agents start contacting them.
Uh-huh. A bunch of agents start contacting them. There are agents in our industry that their specialty is for sale by owners, canceled and expired. And they get up every morning and work this list, the list that you all get. So I tell you that because you need to know the reality. And so that's where I think you have to come up with different strategies than the average agent in approaching expired listings, because they can feel like they're being hounded. Also, if that happens and you're the listing agent, if they're expiring or canceling with you and they're not going to renew with you, I do believe you owe them a heads up on what's going to happen. Or if you don't like them anymore, then maybe not. Maybe you don't tell them. Maybe you just let it be a surprise. But they will get a ton of calls. And here's where we're going to get into this, but you have to honor that do not call list,
yeah.
the numbers. Big trouble. And I have a slide on how big that trouble is. So I want you all to know that there are other agents, but I'm going to tell you this in all honesty, not many agents, that's their strategy and what they do every day. So there is like this many agents calling that list every day. Whoa, where do we go? Where'd my PowerPoint go? Come back, come back, come back. Where do we go? Oh my. I can tell it's going to be a tech morning since I walked in the door and the lights were all out. And then when the lights go out, all of the interior doors shut because they're fire doors and they're on magnets. So, and then you can't make them stay open because they don't have electricity to stay open. So hold on. Why are we not? Okay, just hang on with me. We'll get back to the PowerPoint. It went down and now it's going to come back up. Here we go. So what are other ways that you can differentiate yourself from the crowd, from these other agents who are calling?
You could go door knocking. So they would have to be, guys, they get to actually,
Yes, that can be very effective. Because you're so spot on, Karen, because then they're getting to actually meet you. And that's so different.
Yeah, they might not want to answer the phone. It's like 18 calls.
Oh, yeah. And when they do answer, they may be hot under the collar. So, what are other ideas that you could do? I like that, going door to door.
Mail.
Mail them, yes, definitely, especially door to door and mailing them are your options if they're on the do not call list. So know that you've got options in how to talk with them. So one of the things, one of our agents, Cherie Tate, she's now retired, she and her husband. She retired from real estate. He actually then got his real estate license. They invested in a lot of investment properties and built a portfolio enough that they decided it was time to retire from being active real estate agents. But when Cherie was brand new, she mailed to expireds, and her first 2 listings came from her mailings to expireds. So it can work. I want you thinking about all of this. So when we're going to jump into how do you be strategic, because we're just talking about different ways to have different strategies. You have to remember what I said, that these people have already been trying to sell their house. And so they already have some experience of being in the market. And especially for the expires and cancels, it might have been frustrating. It might have not been a good experience for them, whether it was the agent, the market, or them. Not all sellers are saints. Far from it.
I know that in construction.
Yes.
Yeah.
You learn that a lot. People are really possible.
And you can't please everyone. And sometimes their expectations will never align with yours, even if you've been clear. Yeah, I am sure you deal with that. And then they start nitpicking the tiniest things, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you learn how to educate them and how to put boundaries, because if you let them control your business, it becomes a problem. You have to be,
It's a nightmare.
yeah, you have to be strong from the beginning, and you can see when you have experience with different people, like who is gonna be that kind of person.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up, Edgar, is that happens to you all as agents, and especially when you're new. You don't know that you shouldn't let someone take control of the situation. I'll just give you an example. I think I told you all, in listing a house, I would tell my seller, I'm only going to do 1 or 2 open houses. I set the parameters and the expectations up front, because remember what I said, what type of seller I was when I sold my house before becoming an agent. I told my agent, I want you to hold it open every single Sunday till it goes under contract. Not understanding, I didn't know that most houses aren't sold as a result of an open house, and I really wouldn't have cared, because I wanted everything done possible, because I was already under contract on another house. So this had to happen. So I wanted her doing, hi Whitney. I wanted her doing everything possible, and I didn't care if the odds weren't so high on that activity. I wanted it done. All right. So you have to set expectations of what you do, when you do it. You all should have on your phone messages, you should be saying what your hours of business are. You should not be answering a text message at 11 o'clock at night. Because if you do, then they have that expectation that they can reach out to you at any time. And when you don't respond, they're going to be mad. They are. I think you've experienced.
Yeah,
So.
that happened before. Now, I mean, when I received a message, at that time, I even wait longer to respond. I mean, that's a law, but I'm gonna say it's not right on text. And I think it's only one time when you don't respond anything at that time, they stop.
That makes sense, to set a boundary without having to do anything.
However, some are gonna get upset because you don't. There'll be a percent that may still be upset that you didn't. They have an expectation of, well, you should be responding to me. And you need to set those boundaries in a way that, you know, if you don't want to work on a certain day, then you let them know in advance when they start working with you. If you don't want to work Sundays, if you don't want to work Wednesdays, you let them know what days you're available. Otherwise, they're going to expect you to be available 7 days a week. They don't care. I hate to say it, but most clients don't care. They don't care if your kid is sick. They find it annoying. That doesn't mean all of them. But there are enough out there that they will be annoyed if you're unavailable. So make certain you're setting those expectations. And if your kid is sick, just say, I am unavailable at that time. I hate to say that using your child doesn't always fly with everybody. It just doesn't. I wish. And then I go to empathetic communications. From our perspective and from our approach, we do need to be empathetic. But what did I say about when talking about other agents? What did I say on Tuesday?
Maybe not as well. Those
Yeah.
agents.
Don't talk bad about other agents.
Yeah, it's once you talk about it, no one ever knows who you're talking about.
Well, and also you don't know who they know. You could be talking about their best friend. You don't know. So we don't talk bad. We listen with empathy about the expired or the canceled seller's experience that they've had. And if you're asking enough questions, you should be getting down to what was the base of the frustration? What was the base of what they think the reason their house didn't sell? Because that it could be real or not.
Actually, you say that, like, construction happens the same. You don't talk bad about a contractor because they can say something that is not true and that was really unreasonable and they convince you and they just talking bad. And then later on, you realize if they were saying the truth or the customer was the problem.
Yes, yes. Sometimes it is the seller that's the problem. And that's the other thing that, hi Jaden, good morning. That's the other thing, besides putting boundaries in your business, you all are going to have to learn how to really pre-qualify people. I know. In the beginning, you're probably going to work with anybody who comes your way. I get it. I did too. But you're going to learn, hopefully quickly, that you've got to make certain that everybody is motivated, they're ready, willing, and able, and that they're going to be a good partner with you. Did you know that you're not solely responsible for helping them sell their house? Did you know you're not solely responsible for them buying a house or finding a house? It's a partnership. You do it together. But I felt as a new agent, I felt like on a listing, I felt like it was up to me to get their house sold. And then I had an uncooperative seller, and then I realized, oh no, they just like tied my hand behind my back. And they have control over the pricing and condition and availability of that house. Not me. And sometimes, well, that one seller, the crazy one I told you about, who turned the sprinklers on people and changed the showing times and all of that, she was tying both of my hands behind my back. Basically, I could not, she was making it impossible for me to sell that house or to help her in selling that house. And I learned I had to have my conversations had to be empathetic, and I had to make sure that they were going to be good partners with me. If they're not on board with your strategies and your suggestions, and they're not going to do everything don't think you can tell them what to do. Actually, we're not supposed to. I see agents who say, I told them they can't sell that house unless they do this, this, or this. Well, yes, they can. They probably just would get a different price. Matter of fact, when I talk to a listing, I tell them we could probably get this price range in doing nothing. If you do some of the things I'm recommending, probably we could get about this price range. If you do everything, then we could get this price range. Because if you give them this price range and they decide while they're doing stuff to the house that they don't want to do everything, they still want this price. So if you don't give them, show them that a different price is tied to different condition, they will make those two things separate, and you've got to make it as if it's one word, price and condition. The house will be priced per the condition. That's one of the major elements. Differentiated marketing. That's not a common word. Differentiated. It's not. Showcase what you do. What do you do differently? Have you thought or have you come across any marketing ideas that you think, I'm going to use that? Have you seen how other agents promote their listings? What did you like? Especially the social media posts. Do you like the drones that go inside a house? Those are cool. Do you like the aerial views? Do you like it when they actually take someone on a tour themselves and are talking while they take someone on a tour? Do you like just the still shots? What do you think is effective? Think about this. Come up with these ideas and look at other agents, even outside of the Kansas City market, because you might get some ideas that are being done on the East Coast or West Coast and listing houses that nobody here has done, that you're like, wow, that's cool. There's some crazy stuff. There is one person, well, there's one woman, young woman, who is very sarcastic, and she goes through the houses. She's like, oh, she's just kind of got this funny negative vibe to her and how she talks about the houses. There's another who dressed up in an inflatable dinosaur costume and would be in like all the listing photos. I think that's kind of weird, but it got attention. Actually, it got impressed.
Isn't that now the KCRR bylaw so that you can't dress up in costume?
I think that now, yeah.
Because of him, yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't even in the Kansas City market.
Just got rid
Or maybe somebody tried it after the fact, seeing him do it, but you could do it on your social media. Right? So, yeah, MLS doesn't want you to brand your pictures, doesn't want they just want just clear shots of rooms and houses, fronts, backs, sides, that type of thing. But think about what is going to differentiate you if you are going to be going after for sale by owners, expireds, and canceled. What's going to make you different? And you don't have to be like wildly different. Just what is it that the average agent doesn't do? Do you know in this business, here's what's in your favor. By just going a little extra, you will differentiate yourself from the crowd of average and below average agents so easily. That's all it takes. And then if you even plus it more, you stand out. So even though it sometimes can feel crowded in that field of agents, and I know it can, it's really easier to differentiate yourself than you think. Rebuild trust. Sometimes, I don't want to say a lot of times, sometimes they lost faith in what an agent can do. It wasn't a good experience. It wasn't a good partnership. Maybe they did have a bad agent. We're not going to speak to that. But you may see signs of that by what you see in MLS, like the pictures. Maybe they took their pictures with a cell phone. Okay, you want to know Kristen's biggest pet peeve?
There's a list.
I'll give you my, there's a list. If you don't want to hear from me, don't do these things. Because we will have a chat. And it's not to be mean, it's to just tell you, this isn't gonna work well if you want to be professional in this business. And that is bad MLS pictures. The least you owe a seller is professional pictures, and they're not that expensive. They're not. And yes, you have to come out of pocket. Remember, when you get a listing, you're coming out of pocket for the things that need to happen to get that house on the market. Hi, Jeffrey. That's okay. Well, the power outage, I wasn't sure. I was actually packed up and ready to go over to the Waldo office so that I would have electricity to plug in my computer. So, and as I was about to leave, power came on. So the whole area, the whole shopping center and everything was all out of power. Not too long though, but the timing wasn't so great, but it came back on. So that's a good thing. Rebuild that trust. What can you do to rebuild that trust? Well, sometimes you're going to have to go a little bit slower with them. You can't push them or rush them because they're not even sure sometimes if they want to relist their home because of the experience they had. I told another agent this week, we were talking about the FSBOs and expireds and cancels. And I said, do you know how you win in this game of lead gen? Do you guys want to know the secret? Do you want to know? Okay. Be the last agent standing. What does that mean? That means you don't just contact them once or twice and they didn't say yes to you. Yes, I'll list with you. You have to stay with them a minimum of 6 to 8 touches. A minimum. And if you're not willing to do that, don't go in this pool of leads. Don't. Because it won't work and you will say, this doesn't work.
So in that vein, if you're communicating with someone, thinks it's positive, but then they drop off, how long is it healthy to try to communicate to that person? So you are a lot of persons, you know, it's just like.
Weekly?
Without being overboard. That's what I've been doing. So I was just been like, I didn't.
Politely persistent. Because here, I know what, because knowing you, Whitney, you're probably worried, I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to make them upset. Well, and also think, if you were going to choose an agent, what would you think of an agent who politely was persistent and kept checking on you and kept offering value, but didn't like breathe heavy on you, right? Isn't that the type of person you would want representing you? Because it showed you something about them and their willingness and their effort that they'll put in, right? So that's where you have to not be so in your head about bothering people. Come up with a systematic way that gives a little breathing room. Remember, how many days does it take? We talked about this in one of the classes. I think it was in database class for the Legion 3612. How many days does it take for someone to forget you and what you do? 16 days. So no longer than 16.
Yeah.
7 to 10. Now, when I'm first, and we'll talk about this when we get into different systems of follow-up and what have you, but that's a great question. Set realistic expectations. Maybe that wasn't done in their first experience because the market has changed maybe since they went on the market. Maybe when they went on the market, things were selling pretty quickly and they were just on that cusp of when things kind of changed and buyers were like, we're not going to just buy anything. And their house wasn't in the best of condition. And now you have to set realistic expectations with them of what they're going to need to do to be competitive in this market. And this is where either they're going to be on board with you or they're not. Blake Nelson, one of our top agents in this office, does mostly luxury properties. He says this. Now, he doesn't say this directly to a client. He says, I don't play real estate with people, with a buyer or a seller. And what he means by that, he says, show them my success strategy to listing their house or to buying a house. And if they are not on board with my strategy, it's not going to be a good partnership. Because he knows what works. We know what works. Why are most of these houses, these expireds and canceled and FSBOs not selling? Why? What's the number one reason?
Overpriced.
It's always price. Sellers don't always want to accept that. That's the hardest thing for them to accept. No, my house is special. I don't know how many times I heard that. And inside my head, I was thinking, not that special. It's not that special. It's not. But to them, their home is their castle. Okay. And then, like we talked, never disparage the previous agent. Actually, I'll tell you, and I'm seeing this a little bit right now. We're seeing with some of the expireds that the first agent did try to get him to price it differently, did try to get him to do stuff. They thought they were still in this great seller's market. They didn't listen. And instead of admitting they were wrong to first agent, they let it expire and then they go with a second agent and they'll do what the second agent now is going to tell them to do, which was probably so there was a time when I was an agent that it was such a buyer's market that was common. We'd be like, I remember not getting a listing and a friend of mine got the listing and they wouldn't listen to them either. And it expired and then they went with a different agent. And sometimes they'll listen and sometimes we had a new agent who got an expired listing about 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And yes, she got the expired listing. Awesome. But the seller didn't want to do any different price. They wanted her to create a miracle when that price didn't sell it in the beginning. And then they wanted to cancel with her several months later because it still didn't sell. And they wanted to actually up the price while she had it listed. It was a divorce. It was ugly. I don't fault our agent. But if you're taking a listing and they won't do anything differently and it didn't sell before, we're hoping for miracles or the lucky factor. You know what people will tell you? Well, a California buyer, if they come in, they'll think this is a bargain. Well, yes, it is. However, if they have a decent agent, that buyer's agent's going to tell them if that house is overpriced before they make an offer, right? So it's not like they're just going to come out of the blue and say, I love this house and it's priced great compared to the houses in California, and not want to know, is this truly a good buy? So, but it's interesting what you'll come across with sellers and how they rationalize things, or I don't even think it's rationalization. I think it's just how they dream things are. Okay, let's get into this because I can't repeat this enough for you guys. Legal compliance, do not call list. What? Oh, no, it's actually more now than what I originally had said to you guys. I did my research and got some updated with your. So that's why we subscribe. You know that list that you get every weekday? You don't yet, Karen. Oh, you did get it? Okay. That is scrubbed. Those numbers are scrubbed and identified with a red circle in the do not, okay? And it really means do not call those, because here's the thing. If you violate it, the fines can go up to 51,744,000. So there, you could face civil penalties of up to over $50,000 for each separate violation, each illegal call. Consumer lawsuits, a consumer who receives more than one prohibited call from you within a 12-month period may also be able to sue you and recover a statutory damage amount of $500 to $1,500 for each violation. So the feds can, the DNC can fine you. And Keller Williams International has paid violations to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars for our agents that have violated the do not call list. And then those agents are paying too. So because this is so important, and just know, you're not gonna like me for this, but we will be uploading on Digital Chalk a quiz that you're gonna have to take to continue receiving the do not call list, the FSBOs and expireds every day. And here's why. I'm just gonna be perfectly blunt with you guys. I wanna protect you as much as possible. I don't want this to happen to you ever. But I also have to protect the brokerage. And I have to show that I told you that you cannot do this. Is that okay? And it's not to be harsh or mean, it's just the stakes are too high. And I hope you can see that. We don't want to play. Now, have people accidentally called? Yes. It is the people who blatantly do this. Those are the people getting caught, not the one person who accidentally calls a do not call list, or a do not call number. But I want you just to be aware, that's why you want to only call numbers from that list. You can't scrub it yourself. You can't afford a do not call list by yourself. And actually, brokerages are supposed to first register, and we are not registered because it's expensive. And then you would have access. So that's why we buy that service that scrubs it for you. Okay. One of our agents, it was when I was a broker, does calls neighborhoods, circle prospecting. Do you know what that is? Circle prospecting, have you heard about that? Circle prospecting is when you have a listing in a neighborhood and you call around the neighborhood to tell them about your new listing. Okay. And he used a scrubbed list. He's smart, it's a team and they're smart. They use a scrubbed list, but he got turned in. Somebody turned in. And they said, we're on the do not call list. Well, he was able to prove that when he called them, they were not on the do not call list because he had that list. So he was doing it right. And then somebody didn't like the calls, went on the do not call list. But at the time that he called them, they were not on the do not call list. Does everybody kind of get the gravity of the do not call list? Yeah, don't go there. Don't let me catch you. And if you make a mistake and call someone, then let me know. It can happen. But it's the people who have just totally ignored and just call away. Those are the ones who are going to get turned in. And that can apply to text messages also. Be careful there. Be careful there because that's a phone number, right? Okay. Any questions about the do not call? Okay. Yes.
Actually, Chris, I had a quick question actually.
Yes, Connor.
So if you're hosting an open house and you have leads come in and you get their phone number, should you check their phone number to make sure they're not on the do not call list?
You do not have to. They volunteered their contact information. Now, Some legal scholars say you should have on that sign up sheet, that this gives you permission to contact them. You'll probably see that when you sign up for things now, especially a text message, it'll say you're checking on there that gives them permission to contact you. Our broker has not said that we have to do that, but if they're signing up at open house or any of those things, or they're going on to your website, or you're signed up for the 36 touch and they registered for the giveaway, they've given you their information. It's just when we go out and get their information and they didn't give it to us. Make sense? Good question. Jeffrey, you had a question.
Oh, so I'm on that list and that list also has like email addresses. We can email those, right?
Yes, you can. Now, there are, you got to be careful not to do bulk emails,
Right.
spams. That's where you have to be careful on strangers doing a bulk of them and sending it, but doing one at a time, yeah. And the great thing about doing for sale by owners, expireds, and FSBOs, mail them. Because you're not doing a mass mailing. It's not going to cost you very much. I mean, stamps aren't cheap, but they're not horrible, right? So that's another very impactful way to get outside of the crowd, because, and the reason I say that, Jeffrey, is our emails are really crowded. There's like we all get, at least I do. By morning time, I've already got 200 emails, minimum. And that's just in my business account. Look at my personal account. Well, I have two personal accounts. One's kind of my junk one that I just sign up for things with and just goes in there, and that just blows up I try to keep it under control. Right now, I think I've got 1,000 in that account, and I cleaned out a whole mess just last weekend. And then I have another account, personal account, that is really for stuff, real stuff. So you get lost in emails, and that's why maybe a snail mail going in their mailbox might be a good thing. Good questions. Okay, let's look. Opportunity landscape. We've kind of talked about this. Every market contains dozens of FSBOs and expired listings at any given time. These aren't just properties. They represent motivated sellers. There's very few places in our business that you can see that someone's raised their hand out in public that they want to sell their property. They don't do that when they're buying. They'll start coming to open houses, but not everybody coming through an open house is ready to buy. And so for FSBOs, like we talked about it, the motivation might be to save on commission, but they have those difficulties. Remember, we said they have a hard time being able to really determine an accurate list price because they don't have the data that we have. They don't know how to market and get it out to a lot of people, especially the people who count. See, that's what they don't get. They don't get that we, with MLS, then that's going to buyer's agents. Buyer's agents, can you all show a house without an agreement with a buyer? No. So we have qualified buyers that are ready to shop. They don't understand that just having a sign in the yard, that's, who knows who's, so, and then expireds, they're typically the result of properties failing to sell due to usually pricing or condition issues.
You go on an agreement with them, to where, is it exclusive right to sell?
Yes.
If they sell the house, you don't get one condition.
Well, exclusive right to sell, you are listing their house for a period of time. Now you can make it whatever period of time. I never take a listing under 3 months. It's not, you're going to put too much time, effort, and money in these. And that's not enough time to be fair to you to sell their home. I would never. If I took one in 3 months, it's really not long enough. I took one for 3 months. And it's because that woman, oh, she was so difficult. She's the one who didn't tell me she had cameras in her house. And then I was telling her about feedback of a buyer. And she said, oh, I saw what they said. And I was like, she goes, oh yeah, I didn't tell you I have cameras in the house. Well, I'd had an open house. I'd had a broker tour. I'd shown the house. And I'm like, well, cause then you're like, oh, sheesh, what did I say?
Well, yeah, what did somebody else say that you didn't try to defend or counter? Oh.
I mean, I don't think I said anything, but you're just
I
like,
don't know.
oh my God. Yeah, well, she was not a good partner.
Several open houses where I discover a camera mid, like, getting stuff set up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you should just assume a house has a camera.
Every house has a camera,
So they have a ring doorbell, it's being recorded. I mean, you gotta be mindful of what you're saying
always.
and what other people are saying.
And tell your buyers that, of course. Of course, and a seller especially, because they're so anxious to get somebody to buy their house, they want to know, and then you start trashing it or trash talking. Oh, or you can spill the beans of, oh God, yeah, let's offer this, and how about that? You could be standing at the front door spilling all the beans of what you can and can't do in an offer. So we gotta not talk. We gotta smile, nod, and watch our language. Exactly, every single house. That is one reason, and this is always up to you, but that is one reason my buyers rode with me. Unless that we were just gonna see one house and we meet together, is so we could talk and debrief on each of the houses in the car. It's also how I bonded with them and got even a tighter relationship with them. Okay, 6 ways to win. Get the listing. Convert them to list your house with you exclusively, that exclusive right to sell. Find a buyer. Bring a ready buyer to their property. If you cannot get them to list with you, then see if you have anybody interested in buying in that area. Help them buy nearby. Just because they don't want to use an agent to list their home, perhaps they're open to having you help them buy. So make sure and ask them, where are you moving to? When you sell this house, where are you moving to? And does it matter if they're moving in town or out of town? How can you help them if they're moving out of town? Referrals, help them find an agent wherever they're going. Do you have an agent in Albuquerque to work with? A good agent. I have a network of agents. I work for the largest real estate franchise in the world. I probably can find you a really good agent in that area. And actually, I'll find you two, and you can choose who's going to be the best fit for you. Referral fees are lovely, lovely. It's the easiest money you will make in this business. Referral opportunities, so it goes. And then transaction coordination. They could pay you a flat fee to just assist with the paperwork. Talk to Linda first before, if that's something you want to offer, so that you're doing it correctly, and you have to charge enough that you're going to make some money. You're still going to have splits with the office. So make certain, but there is that opportunity to just help them with the paperwork. And sometimes that's what they want. Here's where you usually hear it is, not in this scenario, but when someone says my neighbor or my tenant wants to buy my property. And so they've already come to agreement on everything. They just need somebody to assist them with their paperwork and the process, the timeline. So that can be an opportunity. This reminds me. Okay. Had an agent, a new agent, and if I'm not perfectly clear on this, maybe one of you will do this. And it wasn't his fault at all. To get an expired listing, he decided to cut his commission. He didn't realize we have a point in which you have to meet. Here's how it works. The portion of commission that you get on a transaction after the program, the coaching program's been paid, after the office has been paid, after you've paid the franchise royalty fee, you cannot negotiate that portion. That portion has to be paid on the property. You can do whatever you want with your portion. You can go down to zero if you wanted. So don't go and try to get a listing and say, I'm gonna win it by charging like nothing. And then find out you might owe money to the office.
That did happen.
It did. And I appreciated that he was a go-getter and everything. He didn't ask that question. And I want to make it perfectly clear, not just on FSBOs and expireds, but on any listing or with a buyer, you can adjust your portion, but you cannot adjust what is owed to the office until you get to 100%. And then with that 100% commission, you do whatever you want. Make sense? Jeffrey?
What's the minimum?
Well, that's where I want you to, if you're looking to do that, it's like 1.5%. I want you talking to Rochelle, who is our finance person here in the office, before you offer a reduced commission like that. But thank you for asking that. Make sense? No, it just, we allow you to do whatever you want with your portion. But don't reduce your commission to win business. Here's what'll happen. 9 times out of 10, I've seen it happen time and time again. You reduce your commission, and that is the seller who's going to expect you to give from your pocket if things don't go right. Inspections don't go right, and the buyer wants all of this, and the seller's going to say, are you going to reduce your commission? Because I'm going to have to pay $10,000 in repairs. Or it doesn't appraise. And they say, are you going to reduce your commission? I'm going to have to reduce the sales price of this house. They'll want to get in your pocket again and again and again. I kid you not. So it'll always be a business decision for you, but I'm going to tell you, it can be a bad path. And you think and then here's the other thing. The only people my husband and I give a discount to are our kids. Those are the only people, not our cousins, not our nieces and nephews, only our kids. And we're happy that we're able to do that for them. Because if you, and I've seen new agents do this too, if you start reducing your commission just to get business and you do it with a friend, Alice, and you want that friend to refer business to you, guess what they're going to tell the other friends? Hey, use Alice. She gave me a deal. It's harder to dig back up from giving a discount than it is.
You never get back up. You don't get back up.
You don't.
Many of the things you could be offering for your client, you're gonna pay their home warranty.
Exactly. And those will be business decisions. I'm going to tell you, we all have given out of pocket as agents to get deals done. Just don't make that your default. Sometimes I have given up like $200 or $500 to make a deal work because the two parties just got stuck and dug in their heels, and they were willing to lose a house over like $200 or maybe 500. And the listing agent and we split it and said, I'll pay it. Let's just get them over this hump. They just get, and you're like, oh, really? This is going to keep you from moving forward, but that's a business decision for you. Okay. I know luckily I'm just about 15 minutes away, but thank you. No, I appreciate that. For compelling reasons, Remember, we talked about it takes little money, takes little time. I disagree with the little time. You need to have a system that you're following up with these leads all the time. Remember what I said, be the last agent standing. That is the secret to winning in this world. It's easy to find. They've already raised their hand. You can find all the data and we already have access to everything about the house and public records. And you do have a motivated seller, even if they're kind of a little frustrated, they have wanted to sell their house. And Megan, I'm going to show you on my computer how to move forward on this. So on mine, it's a little goosey on this program. You have to, for the next slide, click here and then, yeah, and then it'll come up and it takes just a minute. Okay. So I'm gonna have, do you mind just going through? And if you don't get all the way through, just go to the scripts if you want to. That'll be fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, I'm gonna scoot and head to service. And I will see you later.
Yes, well. Yes.
Oh, wow.
If she can get out, sometimes locks us in. Yes. Okay. Still on the screen. All right, I mean, we all have our own personalities and styles, but there are two common approaches for working with FSBOs and expireds. You can be very direct or you can be more indirect. So just kind of what you prefer, maybe if you get a sense of what that seller prefers, you often can tell, you know, what other people resonate with depending on how they respond to things and how those first conversations go. So you can be straightforward and just ask for the business. I saw that you canceled your last contract with your agent. Sorry, things didn't go well. I'd love to help you. Now, this is what I can bring to the table. These are the services I offer you. Just tell them what you do. Talk about your value proposition clearly, request the opportunity to present your marketing plan. Love to come to your house, show you what I have. This is what KW offers you. You were working with Reese Nichols last time. You know, we have a different philosophy, those sorts of things. More indirect approach, guide the sellers to self-discover their need for their services through thoughtful questions and educational resources. If they are the kind of people clearly like, you know, they step back when you knock on the door, they're not sure they want to meet you yet, they're uncomfortable, say, just love to leave you with some information about how KW handles a real estate sale. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions. I'll check in with you next week if you need anything. I just try to be very friendly and very helpful. And if they don't want to talk at that moment, that's fine. It doesn't mean they don't like me or they're going to reject me. They're just not ready to talk to me right now. And that's okay. Whitney's had that experience with her new person. You need to give them time. Just because they say, yes, we want to sell, they might in their brain think, okay, next Christmas, we're going to be ready. Well, they didn't tell her that. So she has no idea they want to wait a whole year to sell. Yes, you just say, hi, how's it going? I mean, right now you're just, yeah, you're going to be their friend and their neighbor. You know, because I've had several people tell me, you know, yeah, we want mom to move next year. I'm great. Well, that could take 8 months for them to get ready. So you have to be patient and see what they need along that journey, getting ready to sell their house. There's a lot of things that we can offer for them. All right, we're going to click and see if this works. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Having the right mindset, come from contribution. Of course, we all want the transaction. We all need to get a paycheck. But if you can show your value and the services you offer, you're going to be much more attractive to a potential person than just saying, hey, I can get this deal done for you. You need to hire me. Just as, you know, you can't just assume that they know what value you bring. You have to demonstrate that. Ask them, what can I do to help you today? What if they're stuck on the fact that, you know, they can't get their garage to work and they're concerned they can't sell their house because garage door opener is broken? Well, that's an easy solution. You call our friend Edgar here and one of his guys comes out and looks at the garage door and we figure out how to fix it. Now you provide, and that's way before they're ready to sell the house. You just now fix their garage door for them and it only costs them $150 and they like you. What service can you offer? What value can you bring to start connecting them and getting to know them and developing that relationship so they will want to work with you in the future?
What are their needs and their long-term objectives? What if mom needs to downsize and go to a nursing home? That is a huge process. What can you do to help them? I went and actually met I went with my friend who's my age, her mom and Sam and Joe were moving into the nursing home. I went to the nursing home facility and met with the people one-on-one. I'm going to help them sell their house. What are you going to need after I sell their house on their end? Well, this is how the financial transaction has to go. We need so much money down payment. We need so much money put into this bank account. They need to have these reserves on track. You know, I helped them talk to the financial guy, get everything set up. That was part of how I helped them sell their house. I needed to know where that money was going to end up. And they were very grateful that I went through that process with them, or if not, it would have just been sitting in the title company account and nobody would have known what to do. So you have to ask the questions. What do they need from you as a real estate agent to sell this house? What's the end result look like too, not just the beginning? Offer your expertise. Provide your general market insights and strategic considerations. I happen to live next door to Knoll Hills neighborhood, so I'm very familiar with it. But they were shocked they were going to get $420,000 for the house. They had no idea the values had gone up that much. So I brought in all the CMAs and said, oh gosh, no, you guys have lived here for 25 years. It's worth a lot more money than it was when you moved in. So I provided my expertise for that neighborhood and gave them some peace of mind that they were going to have enough money when they sold that house to buy into the nursing home. So highlight your comprehensive solutions. Showcase how you tailor your strategies can address their specific challenges and goals. So that's somebody needing to downsize. What if we have a young family, they've got 2 kids, 1 on the way, and they need a bigger house? Whole different strategy. How am I going to help them? I need to make sure they've got daycare available for every time I need to do a showing. I need to figure out where their dog's going every time. Mom is 8 months pregnant. I'm not going to rely on her to do all this stuff. Does she need house cleaning? Can I help her get the house ready for the open house? I can send over a cleaning crew. I'll pay the $250. I'm going to make $10,000 on this deal when I sell it. It's worth my time to help her. What can I provide that's going to help this transaction go more smoothly? And those are the kinds of things I talk to my client about. You can go through your presentation of all the fancy stuff that we do, and some people need to see that because they don't even understand the selling process. But most of it's, what are your needs as this family, and how can I help you with those needs? I provide hand-to-hand service myself. And even if it's not most of the people I work with either been people I know personally or they're referred from a friend or a colleague. But if I'm working with a complete stranger, I still represent these sorts of things. It's like, this is my style. Whatever you need, I will figure out a way to get that done, assuming it's legal. And don't say that to people, but I'm thinking that in my head. Some people ask you some strange things. Like, no, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. All right, know what you're going to say. We do have some sample scripts in here. It's hard when you're on the phone with people the first time if you've never sold a home for somebody. I remember when I went with Ellie on our first appointment, she's like, what do I ask? I said, there's standard questions. We go through our little, script, but depending on how they answer, then that's my next question. I don't know yet until I'm in the room with these people. And so part of it is just having life experience, having these transactions. So you start recognizing the things you do need to say and where the questions are going to go. But practice the scripts first. They're a great starting point for people who are brand new, especially if you've never bought and sold your own home. You really don't have any idea what's happening. Gives you a great background. The professional packets do help if you have materials. You can leave your seller's presentation with people. You can leave the process to sell your home, give them a little, 10-point thing. These are the things that are definitely going to happen during this process. Here's the CMA for your neighborhood. If you need to wait 6 months to sell your home, we'll run a new CMA closer to the time you're ready because the market values are likely going to change. Our market changes every few months. It does not. It's very fluid. Create your 8x8 plan, the way you're going to stay in touch with this seller. You've just met them. You've only talked to them once or twice. You went to their house. Now what are you going to do to keep in touch with them? It's a holiday time. I drop off a little holiday card to my neighbor if I were Whitney, to this guy. I would, send them, cookies or whatever you're going to do. Assume they are your client, so to speak, and treat them like you would if they were already your client. You want to nurture them and let them know you're there. You're thinking about them. And part of that is thinking about the goals. If they say, oh, we're going to need to move by next spring, well, March is only 5 months away. What do you need to do to get that house ready? Does it need painting? Does it need a new deck? Do they need to get it cleaned out? How are you going to help them get that stuff done, especially if we have 4 snowstorms this season? How are you going to get a new deck put on? You've got to strategize your time and suggest to them, hey, do you have the money now? We can do it before the weather turns. If not, let's get it scheduled first thing in the beginning of March, get that deck replaced. So we're ready to go on the market. Help them strategize that and get your goals in place. If you suggest these things to people and you help facilitate it, they are much more likely to be hiring you because you've already been working with them. Find your prospects. Identify active FSBO listings through Zillow, Craigslist, yard signs, and local classifieds. Does Craigslist even exist anymore? This might be a little dated, but the point being, don't just rely on the FSBOs that Jeg sends us each week. And those are super helpful because they've already been vetted, but there are other resources out there. Anytime you're driving through a neighborhood and you see a for sale by owner sign, I take a picture of it and I call them when I get home. See what happens. You know, even if it's a neighborhood I'm not very familiar with, cannot hurt. Get yourself out there, start making contacts, start making inquiries. And if they say, yes, we're interested, then go visit them. Now, you've never met these people. You don't necessarily want to go into their home by yourself. Take somebody with you. I always recommend you go as a group or a team, or meet them at a coffee shop or something like that. Be mindful of those sorts of things. Run a background check on them. Put them on white pages and something will pop up. You can just go to the county websites and see if they have a criminal record. It's not hard to find information on people. It's all public record. So if you're suspicious, then check it out. Okay, so organizing yourself as an agent. Create your database tracking where you can have each listing's details, contact history, next steps, etc. This is where command comes into play. We talk about this every training. Put these people into command as a lead. There's a button you just click right there on the contacts that says mark as lead. Then anytime you want to market to your leads, you can go in and just say, show me my leads, and it pulls up every single person in there who is a potential client for you. And you can start making notes, adding information as you progress in these relationships. Let's say you go meet with the seller again, Whitney. Well, now you can make a note about that second appointment. What did we talk about that second time? Because 3 months from now, you might not remember. You've had 16 conversations with other people by then. It's very helpful to keep track of all your information inside command. That's what it's there for. So take advantage of it. Strategic engagement for agents. Educate yourself with data. You need to be familiar with their neighborhood, their market area. Do your CMAs. Go in and get information about the local schools. What restaurants are nearby? Is there a hospital in the area? What do you need to know about that neighborhood to help tell your seller what you already do know and the value you're going to be able to bring to potential buyers? You can solicit buyers based on the knowledge you have of that neighborhood. So prepare yourself before you go into these appointments or when you're on the phone with these people. And like Kristen said, under number 2, even if it's a smaller, what we would call, a lower level home, it's only a 5 or a 6, it needs lots of work, it's in a lower income neighborhood, it still deserves to be showcased. People who want to buy a $150,000 home would like it to look good too. That's going to be their next house. So even if you don't want to pay for a lot of professional photography or things, you can take some really nice pictures on your own iPhone if you have it set up properly at the beginning. So take professional looking photos. Don't make them blurry. Make sure the toilet's clean. Don't leave the lid up. Close the shower curtain. Get the clutter off the kitchen counters. I mean, think about how you want the picture to look in the end. You have to prepare the room. Yes, pre-fold the towels. Little things like that make a huge difference.
Whether it's pictures of that, the toilet lid is up,
Yes,
immediately turns me on.
yes, most people. Just little things like that. So as you're in the MLS educating yourself on neighborhoods, you're looking at other people's pictures, make notes of things you like and don't like so you can make sure your pictures are the way you want them. Start seeing what other agents are doing. Go into the high-end homes. Look how they stage them. What do they look like? What expectations are out there for a high-quality presentation so you can start learning how to make your listing look like that. You want to match those other high-quality listings. And it's not that expensive. good pictures about $350 with a video. So you can actually afford it, and then you just reimburse yourself when you get paid at the end. Get a business credit card, put all these expenses on that credit card. Then it's a deduction when you go to pay your taxes. And all your other marketing here at the office is free. All your flyers are free, your Canvas stuff is free, your printing's free. You don't have a lot of expense. Yep. Emphasize time savings. This is where we go back to organizing yourself and the strategy for how to get this place sold. Help your seller understand a timeline, what's going to happen, when things are going to happen. And that's where you would use your own seller's guide to walk you through those different phases of the sale. You have offer negotiation experience. You're going to have to negotiate with every single buyer on terms for this sale. And that's where we as your coaches will help you. But you're going to get buyers who are asking for ridiculous things, and you have to have a good strategy for countering that objection. What do we say to that? And there's lots of easy ways to handle it. Most of that's dictated by the lender, which is kind of nice. You can always blame it on them. It's like, oh, sorry, lender says we have to have this as the bottom number. See if see if the buyers can match that. Ensure legal safeguards. Make sure you are in compliance with all the regulations. You're following the rules on marketing and posting things. That's where we come in handy if there's any issues with that kind of stuff. Deadlines, we will help you with all of that, making sure you're following your inspection deadlines, your appraisal deadlines, lender issues. Those are all things you have to help your seller understand that we're going to encounter with future buyers, so they're prepared for those processes. And that should be in your seller presentations, helping them understand the different phases that are going to come up in this transaction. What am I as your agent going to do for you? I'm going to protect you during each of these phases and help us get through those. Be patient. Like Kristen said, you're going to deal with lots of different personalities, and some people are much more easy to deal with than others. And you've got to be able to deal with each of those personalities. You can't pick and choose. Patience is a virtue in this business. Okay. Just something, because FSBOs can take a long time for you to nurture that relationship where they're actually ready to work with you. They have to learn to trust you and that you're going to do for them what they need. So get your system organized. How are you going to put them into command? How are you going to follow up with them? What questions are you going to ask about their big why? What notes are you going to put into command? Utilize that system so you don't forget about them and you can keep in touch with them. And I would highly recommend that you put that FSBO buyer on a search in MLS, and anytime something else pops up in their neighborhood for sale, you immediately are telling them, hey, the neighbor, 2 blocks over from you just listed their house, and they're at this, they're at 255. We might be able to get 275 out of your house because it's in nicer condition. You want to entice them with information. So you can plan all those kinds of strategies when you organize and put your notes in the database that reminds you to do those sorts of things. Put yourself on those searches so you can monitor this stuff for them. You have access to all this information as an agent, so we need to take advantage of that. It's doing something, I don't know what. It does not like that slide. Let's try the next one. That might be it. I think we're out of slides. I can't tell. Oh, no, here we go. Oh, yes, practice your scripts. Okay, let's see if we can get this one to pop up. This is new to me, a FSBO information packet. Okay, have a cover sheet to give somebody, maybe a testimonial too about business you've had in the past, an open house tracker to say, hey, if we conduct open houses, this is how I handle those. List of service providers. I say, I know you need a new deck. I've got a qualified contractor I'd like you to talk to, see about getting that repaired. What's the expense going to be? You start providing this information for them. Safety features, if you have people with like small children or elderly in the house, what do we need to do to make sure we're taking care of everybody as we're moving in and out of this transaction? Do they have a security system? Is there an alarm code? How are we going to handle that? Who's going to have access to the alarm code? Who's going to shut it off and turn it on when we have showings? Those sorts of things. How we're going to prep your house to sell it? What does it need? Well, how much decluttering do we need to do? How many boxes do you need to bring over? What, do you need to go help them pack up on the weekends? What do we need to do to get this ready? I have done that. I have helped clients go through boxes of stuff. We're specifically looking for grandma's jewelry box, so we just started going through stuff until we found it. So, because that's the only way to get the household is can't sell it until we find it. You want to leave them with seller's disclosures, information, so they can start thinking about what they're going to talk about, what features are in their house. Ask them to find all their repair bills, their invoices for things they've done. Those are really nice to pass on to the next buyer. You can give the seller stuff to do to keep them busy while you're getting everything ready to list. And then you leave them your business card. But these are good things, ways to show a FSBO your value. Ideas. Okay, then they do suggest we practice scripts. They're in our handout here. When you're making an initial contact with people, following up, these are some common things that are good to say. So I suggest you read these. Go over these with each other here at the office or with your partner at home and just kind of jump back and forth. Learn to make this seem natural when you talk about these sorts of things. Because it's just easy. There's some natural things to say and that will help that possible seller go, oh, this is a nice person. They know what they're talking about. And I'm trying to know how many scripts they have in here. Empathetic communication. There's only a couple of suggestions. If we go to our portal and our coaching KC portal, we have a lot of other scripts available also that will help you. And we as your coaches would be happy to sit down and kind of, practice this stuff back and forth too, if you feel uncomfortable. Because it's just a good way to start getting some of these concepts just as part of your natural communication with people. And the more transactions you have, you start remembering this stuff. But at the beginning, it's intimidating, I know. Like, what do I say to them? All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to wrap it up because we're getting ready for our inspection. How many of you are coming to the inspection class? Did you sign up? We're here. Yeah, me. I'm like this. Let me get off the Zoom so they can start logging in. Thank you for everybody online. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen's computer is different than mine. How do we get out of this? Sign out. Stop share. Where's leave meeting?
Oh, do we need to register online or?